Honorable Speaker, former Union Minister Suresh Prabhun सांगलोलें की कॅरिंग कॅपॅसिटी आमचे गांवांचे काडून जाय म्हणून सगळे हांसपा लागले आनी जोक्स करताले. मागीर हांव मेळ्ळो तेन्ना बासवरात चलोन वयता तेन्ना ते म्हाका सांगलां कितें ते कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ कॅरिंग कॅपॅसिटी आनी म्हणलें आमचे गांव आहा ते अर्बन जातले आनी अर्बन म्हणल्यार मागीर आमचे गोंयाचे गांव आहा ते कावर जातले. So I believe that this urbanization will change the nature and character of our villages, and there will be a major shift in a demographic pattern. Our character of the villages and its soul will be lost. Right now we are facing problems about road, we are also having problems relating to spaces, and we are having problems relating to water. And now with the regulations which you are bringing, you're reducing even the time frames of panchayat to decide whether they will not even have time to go for inspections and all that, and this will be a major problem which they will face. So I have to, my first question which I want to put, you have given me the answers by saying that the village panchayats have not carrying out any demographic or the carrying capacity has not been carried out, but at the end of the day it is by your directions they are bound to carry out the, approve them and give them the construction licenses. Now, what can you make amendment in the law so as to make this mandatory, so as to ease the burden of the locals who are residing, so that the carrying capacity can be analyzed, and in the context of the Gram Sabhas, I'm not talking of single units, I'm not talking of a few units, but when it comes to multiple units, large units, what we call mega projects, or these big gated colonies which come, which change the democratic pattern, which are now invading my constituency. Already it is now in other parts of the coastal areas of Bardes and other places in Salsette have already come, especially the coastal belts, where you have huge villas like 90 villas or flats and all which are coming. What kind of an assurance can you give as to do this? My first question.
Because I think what the Honorable Member Carlos Ferreira is asking, very clearly the answer has been given in my written answer. But I also appreciate his concern that the demographic entire thing is, demography is going to change. You are going to have unabated development in villages everywhere in Goa where we used to not see any development. हांव तेका मुद्दम सांगपा सोदता. Today also as you move in entire Goa, it becomes very difficult to distinguish between a rural area and an urban area. That's why a new term also is being used, calling it urban. Which is rural, which is urban, you cannot make out. Speaker sir, but as far as what he's implying or saying, the projects that are coming up, panchayats do not have the mechanism to judge the carrying capacity of a village. Normally what happens, the normal procedure which you must be knowing, the plans get passed by the town and country planning department and or the PDAs and other agencies, they come for only grant of license to the panchayat. That is our role. Now in spite of that, what happens sometimes is, in villages obviously there is, they call now the term mega project is there, and rightly so in some cases people object. But a objection yeta tenna gram sabha munasta. Everybody gathers there, they create objection and they have in some cases even stop projects. It's after long time, after certain corrections are made, where it goes to those particular respective department, and again it comes perhaps to the panchayat and then they clear it. This is the mechanism. But as your question says, carrying capacity judge korun diupache kaina tena amkode ekuz mechanism ha panchayatin, and that mechanism, because it is grassroots democracy, it is the people who decide in the gram sabha oh amka project naka. In some cases they have managed to stop also, which you have seen. There is a little bit of confusion now because of the factors. So people don't know which project will come up, which project will not come up also. There is a certain uncertainty. So as against that uncertainty, the panchayats can do very little. All they can do is the people in that village can come together and think. I'll give you one classic example. A 5-star hotel right in the heart of city, Marriott, what has come. The road, is it a broad road enough for a 5-star hotel? But it came up, no? Just one example I am giving. Like that, there are umpteen examples. In the villages also, developments have come up. tall buildings have come up. That's why I'm saying it is a rural-urban area. Can you stop development per se? Because there is demand, people are building. Today population is rising in every village. Our own goans also are building. It's not that only outside people are coming. And ultimately who sells the land to the other outside people? It's our goans only. So there has to be a rethink of sorts of everyone concerned. Whether we are going to allow Goa with unabated development, don't blame only the panchayats. Panchayats have a limited role to play, and that they are playing already through the Gram Sabhas as well as the panchayat bodies which decide. Kite jai, kite na, te panchayat decide karta.
Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the concerns of the Honorable Minister and the government in this regard, and recognizing the issues which arise out of this carrying capacity failure to assess. But our specific, my pointed question is, Poile, you have a 2012 opinion of the Learned Advocate General which was given, and the Director of Panchayat says that the Gram Sabha cannot take decisions on construction licenses, and that is being followed in letter and spirit. If the Panchayat rejects, now you're giving an appeal to the BDO or to the Deputy Director, who will override the Panchayat and say you'll have to give, because if the town planning parameters are met, they have to give. So there's no option. Now, in this background, when the Panchayats are virtually becoming like post offices, virtually like post office, because if TCP clearance is there, they are bound to give it, unless they find some discrepancy on title or some road issue which is not available. Otherwise, the rest they are bound to put a stamp and give it. Our specific question is, what way can you, as a Panchayat Minister, permit the amendment of the Panchayat Raj Act to take these factors into consideration, which can be considered by a Panchayat when giving the construction license?
Speaker, sir, Honorable Carlos Ferreira is a learned advocate. I cannot amend the Panchayati Raj in such a way, things what have been cleared by other departments. As he says, yes, it is like a post office only. But they nevertheless hold the projects. And you know the reasons why in certain panchayats, certain huge projects are being held up. And only after certain things happen, they get cleared. You and I know it, the entire house knows it. I don't want to say that in the house, but as against that background, Speaker sir, जे already आमका proposal clear जाऊन येता, PDN आसून दी, बाकीचे permission, environmental clearance आसून दी, बाकीचे आसून दी, पंचायत कशा अडायतले? Can I get a law to obstruct that? As you rightly say, Gram Sabha may say we don't want, but that does not mean to say Gram Sabha can stop it. Then they go in appeal, they have to give the decision which is legally correct, and then the projects come up. But in the bargain, one good thing happens, certain things which would have been worse for the village get corrected by itself. That has been happening. It's not that Gram Sabha exercises or the opinion of the people is completely discounted. No, it is not so. Their opinion also ultimately is taken into consideration. Like if there is no proper road, then they try to widen the road. There are certain amenities which are not there, they try to give the amenities. It is like that. Speaker sir, एक आम्ही realize जावपाक जाय, development per se stop करपा जायना. आता development येता तेन्ना yes, तेंका उदक जाय पडटा, तेंका light जाय पडटा, ते बाकीचे availability दिता. It is whether the chicken came first or the egg came first. Development जाले म्हणटच automatic तेंका transformer येता, व्हडल्यो लायन्यो येता, capacity, substation येता, रस्ते रुंद जाता. That comes afterwards. Subsequently, it happens. So this is a exercise which is always going to be continuous. And Goa that way is the most preferred destination, not only by tourists, of having second homes now. That's why people have now started to move in the interiors. You realize that, you and I realize that, but what can you do? We are in the Union of India. We sometimes fail to realize that.
See, I think Honorable Minister has not perfectly understood what I am trying to say. When the town planning decides, the town planning looks at it from a planning point of view, whether your plot size, whether your zone is correct, whether this permissible development is permissible, but it's not concerned about the impact on the village. Please understand this. This can be only looked at by a panchayat, and if you don't have the provision, that's what I'm trying to say. The provision does not exist, you acknowledge it. And each department will give, subject to availability, build a swimming pool, get water. Do you know whether they get the water by tanks? They're getting water from our drinking water, they're putting in it. So my thing is, at least to that extent, where the village panchayat can decide on this need for this carrying capacity, which they can make an assessment, at least to enable. Otherwise, you have no jurisdiction, you have no statutory power, because unless the statute is amended, you don't give them power. If you can't allow the village panchayat to do it, why can the government not carry out such exercise using experts? Because I know, आमचे गावांचे पोंबुर्पा ओलावली, आमचे आल्दोना, उकसाई, मोयरा, आणि बास्तोरा, हे 100 गांव आमचे आहात ते नॅशनला, 100 पंचायत आसात ते. हांव कोंकणीन कित्याक सांगता, दुसरे आयकतले आनी म्हणटले मागीर अरे हे बरे आहात म्हणून येतले गोंयांत, म्हाका नाका. म्हूण if you are having this kind of a situation which is erupting across the villages, and I think need is, and you are recognizing that people are coming for second homes, not it is coming for necessity of a home, as a second luxury home. So, and at the cost of us who live over here. And very often these luxury homes, second homes are being used as rent back or whatever, on these B&B and whatever those kind of things. Airbnb. So, Airbnb. So, no, Airbnb is a company. There's a bread and breakfast that is under the tourism department. So there are two differences on that. So my thing is, at the cost of us who are already there, we suffer with this kind of development which keeps coming. Uncontrolled, I use this word. So at least that is the demand. If you can't make an amendment, at least why don't you make a provision for the government to carry out the carrying capacity in each of these villages?
Speaker, sir, as I understand, and if it is the consensus of the House, what the Honorable Member is simply suggesting is try to have a mechanism wherein the burden of clearing the project after it is cleared by other departments should not fall entirely on the panchayat. There should be a mechanism which the mega projects, for example, the projects which will alter the availability of basic amenities like electricity, water supply, sewage, drainage, all this.
Final decision.
Then a committee, Speaker sir, a committee can be formed and then it can be referred to the government, and only when this particular committee clears, then only that can be allowed. If you are suggesting
No.
that, then there is no other mechanism that can be
You
worked
can't
out.
allow
Then
committee
tomorrow,
and external.
you are suggesting
I don't want
that,
that
in
committee.
effect you are suggesting that, because
No,
what
I'm
will
not
happen
asking
by
for
that?
committee. I'm
Tomorrow
saying
panchayat will
you
say
are
we are encroaching upon their
talking of constitutional powers of a panchayat. Panchayat is today not a statutory body but a constitutional body.
Yeah.
So you can't put a committee to sit over and abdicate and take away the powers of a panchayat. They can't do it. I'm saying empower the panchayat. I'm not saying take it away.
Because sir, then I'll ask him, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'll ask him a simple question. What is the way to do it? I'm asking you.
You
There's
amend
no
the
way you
statute.
can do it.
I will give you the wordings.
No, then what is the way to do it?
I will give the wordings.
Tell me the mechanism.
You make an assurance,
I will
I'll give you
adopt
the
that
wordings.
mechanism.
I'll give you a
Yes.
suggestion.
If it is for betterment of the village protection,
Yes.
we are also, this government also is for protection
Definitely.
of the
That's
village.
why I
and the
appreciated
local
your
goikas.
response.
Goikas to right protect purpose hai. Sang ki them.
Yes.
I'm asking you therefore.
I'll give you the
getting a
amendment.
point will
I'll
not
give you
help.
the suggestion. I don't have a problem.